Welcome to Wigglesticks TV. I know I said in the last video she was 99% finished, but yeah, she probably is. Managed to find locally a carbon fiber front fender, so I fitted that earlier today. I'll put some stickers and stuff on there. But my game plan for the fan overheating issue is a couple of things. So what I'm going to do is reconnect the fan switch, because at the moment it's just using the on-off fan switch to turn it on. So I'll reconnect that back to the actual new fan switch, and then I'm going to turn it on and use a couple of wires to bridge the fan, bridge the harness where it comes into the fan switch, just to make sure the fan turns on. I'm going to let it run up to temperature and see exactly on the cluster here where the new fan switch, if that is different at all of what it was previously, and then plug the switch back into the fan and everything, and yeah, turn it on and run it up to temp and see how it goes. So that'll be the next little stage, and I'll probably put some stickers on this front fender as well. Interestingly, when I pulled the other fairing off, I noticed a little spot, wet spot on the ground down there, and then on the inside of the fairing, looks like it's got some coolant residue and stuff on it. So can't feel anything that's wet on this side, so it doesn't look like anything's leaking. But I'll rip the other side off and yeah, see where it's coming from. Strange. Well, that didn't quite go to plan. Started it up, got it up to temperature, and found the water leak coming from, doesn't look like it's the gasket from the water pump cover, or the O-ring that I have replaced twice. It looks like it's coming from behind there somewhere. So I need to lift the tank up and see if the hose that joins to the top of the water pump cover, if that has a leak or something in there, or if there's fluid or something from when the thermostat got changed. I think that's what the marks on the other side of the fairing was just when that thermostat coolant stuff came out. But there is definitely a drip coming from behind that water pump gasket. And then I also found an oil leak, which is coming from this hose here. It looks around the top there. So pretty straightforward. I just got to order, I'll probably order both of the hoses and replace them. May as well. I can't imagine them being terribly expensive. And then yeah, I need to pull the tank off and see what's happening on the inside under there, but I'll probably do that tomorrow. The new fan switch that I put in over the other side, so I bridged that switch just by touching the two terminals in this plug together, and it turned the fan on. And then when I had the engine running before, the temp on the display, it kicked in at 108, which is more or less where it was kicking in last time. So not sure if we really learnt anything there, other than maybe the other fan switch thing was okay. Interesting though, but well, another day, and we have the fairings and stuff a little bit further removed. I've removed the reservoir tank here out of the way so I can see down in here and got the tank up so I can have a look inside the engine. There doesn't look to be any water or anything inside the engine or coming down from in there, which is good. However, there is still water coming from behind the water pump cover, where I've previously changed that gasket twice now. The oil, those high pressure oil lines that were leaking oil in this one, whatever it is, this one here, I ordered those lines. They should be here in the next few days. It's about time to try and solve this overheating / non-cooling issue once and for all. I've got a new water pump, which is good, so I'll change that. But I actually think that potentially when I've started this engine up, even though this radiator has been flow tested and cleaned before I installed it, that now maybe it's got clogged up with some rubbish that might have been inside the engine before I started it for the first time. So I've got to drop the coolant anyway because I need to change the water pump, and then I'm going to drop the oil because I need to change a couple of oil lines that were leaking from the other day. So I'm just going to spin this around, take the radiator off, and do a bit of a pressure test to see, a flow test with just putting the hose in one end and seeing what comes out the other, a reverse of what it is. So put it down the bottom and see how it comes out the top and see if anything comes out of it. With any luck, the radiator is just clogged up and it's just not cooling down properly. So that seems to be a plausible solution. So I'll give that a shot now and see how we go. It's probably pretty hard to see in there, but there is definitely sediment in the radiator. Not a lot, but I guess if we're only talking little gullies for the water and stuff to flow through, it actually probably is enough to clog it up potentially, but at least we know the flow through the radiator is pretty good. So I'll just keep flushing water through it and see what else comes out. It's the next morning now, back out to try to fix this off. So pulling the radiator and stuff off yesterday, I think was pretty useful. I'm pretty hopeful that the radiator had some stuff in it that was blocking it, the circulation. So you can see down here, all this stuff came out of the radiator yesterday. I probably didn't catch everything, but all these little like pebbles and there's some like hard sludgy kind of stuff in there all came out of it, so that really can't be very good. Can't be very good for inside of the radiator. So I'm just going to keep flushing and flushing. I'll probably take the tank. I'll probably take the tank up and take the thermostat cover off, take the thermostat out, and then run water from the bottom side of the engine there to try and flush anything out that might be trapped inside the engine there. So that'll be a little bit of a plan of action for today, and then put it all back together. And I also need to change the oil line on the other side there because that's leaking. Well, that might explain a few things. So after jamming the hose back through it the last time, this is pretty much all the stuff that came out of it. It's this fine, sandy sort of material, so it's a little bit strange. Anywho, it's probably better out of the cooling system than in it. So there wasn't too many hard pieces in here, although there was this. Some of the stuff is sort of joined together, but I'm pretty happy it's all out of there now. So I'm just going to connect it all back up and put some distilled water in there, and then see how we end up after that. The one thing I do have to do while I've got the airbox off, the rubbers from underneath the between the airbox and stuff. So these rubbers are super hard and make it really difficult to get the airbox back on and off again. So I've got one brand new one of these, and then I've got 3 or 4 other ones that are in much better condition than these ones. So I'll swap those over and put the airbox and stuff back on, and then I'll do that at the same time. So I didn't drop the oil filter, I just dropped the main oil out of there because I'm going to replace this high pressure oil line that's leaking, and I'm going to also do the other one while I'm here as well, even though it doesn't look like it's leaking. If I'm going to do one, I've decided I'm going to do 2. So I've got the new parts from Suzuki, so it should be pretty straightforward, just undoing the 2 bolts and putting the new bolts back in with the washers and everything as well. So should be pretty straightforward. I'll set the camera up and get cracking. There we go, a couple of nice high pressure oil lines in there. Look much nicer. They're only torqued to 25 Newton meters, so yeah, I just kind of did that by feel because I couldn't get any of the wrenches in there, as you probably saw in the stop motion. Definitely better than the old one that came out of there. It's definitely perishing at the top. The other one is probably okay, but you do one, you may as well do 2. Rudy's come to check on progress. Hey Rudes. So yeah, now I will do the water pump, and then with any luck, the sun's out, so I can give this a bit of a rip this afternoon and see see if we have solved anything. Water pump removal is fairly straightforward. I've already got the fairings and everything off, already got the reservoir tank off. So you just have to take the gear shift lever and the sprocket cover off, and then there's essentially 2 bolts here and here that mount the water pump into the engine block or whatever it is, and then it should just come straight out, and then yeah. Well, that was interesting to say the least. So this is, I had to pull the neutral position sensor out, which is where that seal is over there, because I couldn't get my hands behind the pump surface to pull out. While we're here, we can see inside the engine looks pretty damn clean, which is good. The bearing, the surface and stuff in here has a bunch of grit on it, which is not to be unexpected, I guess. And then the water pump itself. So yeah, so I had a bit of trouble getting this water pump out. It felt to me like the rubber seal that is on the back of the pump, or is it just here, was catching on the inside. So on the inside of there's a bunch of just chain lube and stuff like that on the outside of the seal, which you can kind of see on the back of there. But I actually ended up breaking the top corner off there. There's the other part of it there, trying to get the pump out because it wouldn't come out. So ended up just getting, just having to rotate it enough until it finally broke through, and then it came out pretty easily. But yeah, I had to take the neutral position sensor off, and yeah, so now this was all perfectly clean before I started riding it. So now I've got to get all this chain lube out and clean up all the crap. Yeah, so I'll clean this all up and then put the new one in, and it should be good to go. So I might didn't have enough time to take this for a ride today. Well, she's all back together, buttoned up over this side now. I've just got to put the reservoir tank back on. So I'll do that, and then I'll fill all the fluids back up. Got oil to put in there, water obviously, and then see if she'll start back up again. And I really need to check that neutral switch to see if by disturbing that, hopefully that still works. So I'll just go and put some fluid in it and connect the reservoir bottle and stuff back up, and then she'll be good to go. Fire it back up again. Well, I just got back from a test ride. It seemed to be much better. The temperature was hitting like 80, 81 at in town, so around lights. But then so it was sitting around 80, 81-ish, and then pulling up to the lights and having to wait there to kind of creep up to 80. But the good thing was, I said 88 or so, and then the good thing was once you started to move along, the temperature started to drop back down again. So yeah, I'm really feeling sort of confident, quite confident I guess, that this might have actually solved the problem. Confident enough to top the radiator back up, put the fairing back on, and actually try to ride it somewhere and not worry about it overheating so much. I've come back out here an hour or so later. There's no fluid or anything on the ground, which is good. So fingers crossed. So I will put everything back on and try and take it for a decent spin over the next couple of days. It's not weather's supposed to be okay, so with any luck, this is actually kind of finished now, so only time will tell. So thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and with any luck we'll have to pull this thing apart too many more times. Thanks.